Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and Taya Master, Anne-Marie Young. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Okay, Anne-Marie, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. It will be, yeah, because I mean, have you ever heard, I have never heard of a marriage proposal planner. Have you heard of that?
No, it's not something I've heard of over here. That's for sure.
This is brand new for both of us, sister, and probably for the listeners as well. I think it's probably a safe bet. Not too many people. I mean, I remember I'm divorced now, but when I first got married, I remember going through the whole deal about, okay, I got to plan making the proposal. It never occurred to me to ask for a coach.
Yeah.
That was the last thought that came to my mind. My first thought was, how am I going to do this? When am I going to do this? What's the plan? Is there a plan? No, there's no plan. I got to come up with a plan. Come on. I mean, that's the way it went.
I can imagine it's terrifying. So having some support around that would be a godsend.
I never even thought about it, but yeah, it probably would have been. It probably would have been. Yeah. I mean, well, when you're the guy, you kind of assume that's just the role. So, you kind of, grit your teeth and you get ready to do it. And you have as many conversations as you can beforehand. Just to make smooth sailing, that kind of thing. But we're going to learn a whole lot more about that today from Ash Fox, who literally started a business doing exactly that. And the way she started kind of blows my mind. Ash, first of all, welcome to the program. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And you started off by photographing proposals. I mean, you got to tell us the story. There's a whole story.
I'm happy to. Oh gosh. Well, it's an honor to be here. I love that you guys specialize in happiness and happy stories, because really that is what my business is all about, is that we're creating happy, beautiful moments for people that they can look back on for years to come and feel good again when they tell the story to their loved ones and tell them how it all happened and how they made this commitment to each other. So yeah, I feel really blessed to do what I do. I am a marriage proposal advisor, planner. I began as a photographer. Photography is still a big part of what my business does, because we our fundamental pillars are quality, artistry, and love. And so we infuse that in everything we do. And we want to make sure that not only are these moments memorable, but they're beautiful. And there's something you can really look at and, just relive that beautiful experience. So photography is a big part of what we do. I was a photographer. I still am a photographer to some degree, although I don't do as much photography within my business anymore, because we've had to allow more people to have access to what we do. And so it became untenable for me to be at every single shooting. But I am very much still in the role of, I'm involved in every single proposal. I oversee every single proposal, and I help my clients one-to-one plan their proposals. And so they really are able to pick my brain, as I've at this point done over 3,000 proposals. It blows my mind. It's been 15 years. Which is just crazy. It's been over a decade doing this. And I feel really, really very fortunate that I was able to find my way as a creative person. So yeah, how did it all begin? Well, I began really just as a freelancer in the world of random creative freelance work. I was doing a little bit of everything from graphic design, some styling work. I was doing video editing. I was doing whatever skill I could possibly do as a creative when I was in college and when I graduated college. And I ended up falling into just finding, I don't have to give you, if you want to hear a really long-winded story, I could, but I want to be respectful of your listeners.
Well, we love stories. I mean, if you think the story is a good story, tell the story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll tell the story.
Hear it.
All right. If you're here for the long story, I'm going to give you a very long but fun and winding story. So I graduated school in 2009, like right after the crash and all the craziness. And I was an artist, and I was in school. I was an art major at NYU, actually. And when I graduated, I was like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I going to do now? Because they were training us to be like fine artists, like to show around the world and all of this. But they didn't really give us a path forward of like how we're going to make money, have a career. Sometimes they make assumptions when you're in programs like this that like you don't need to worry about that or something. But I was a hustler and I was concerned. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? I need a career beyond. So I probably was not the person who knew in my heart of hearts that I was going to be a fine artist necessarily, at least at that time. Maybe that'll be my retirement career. But I just was, what can I do now? What can I do now that feels good, that I can make a living, that I can be creative? And so I just was doing freelance work, random jobs, like I said. And during that time, I had one of my best friends. He's a musician and he was working on his career as a musician, actually in Japan. And he was paying a lot of money for photo shoots with great photographers. And him and I were talking and I just was like, you know what if you just bought, instead of investing in another photo shoot, what if you bought a really high-end camera and I'll just figure out how to shoot you and I'll take great pictures whatever you want. So you'll have them like, you don't have to keep doing these setup shoots. We'll just do whatever you want. And he was like, you know what, let's do it. And so we did. And I actually became his photographer for him, like while he toured, and we did a lot of great shoots together. And simultaneously, another friend at that time had, again, long story long, had asked me if I wanted a job as a dancer at this nightlife party in New York, a rock and roll party. And again, I was doing so many different jobs at the time. I was like, you know what, sure, I'll do this dancing job. And he told me it was very wholesome. I could wear what I wear. And I just was kind of like a hype girl to get people to dance. And so I'm doing this dance job for a month while I'm doing the photography for my friend and my other freelance work. And one of the photographer for this nightlife party ends up leaving, and she's like, she's gone. So I go to the person who organized the whole party. I'm like, listen, I can do it, her job, I'm a photographer. And he's like, you know what, you're on. And he gives me his camera. And so it's so funny. I became a photographer without even having my own camera and without ever having done this as a hobby. Like it literally was a job from day one that I even picked up a camera. It was wild. I know that's not most people's story with photography. I
approve of that story because it's a story that shows how you followed a passion and let things fall into place rather than trying to plan it all out in advance.
That is true. That is true. Thanks, Wal. Thank you. It's funny because because that's the thing. Sometimes you don't know where things are going to lead. And so I very much was in that exploratory, like, let's try a little bit of this. Let's take the dancing job. Like, I never imagined this is what was going to happen. So I become this photographer of this nightlife party. And at this time, this party starts blowing up. Like it's in all the magazines. Celebrities are at this party. A lot of famous musicians are at this party. And I'm doing all the photos. I end up winning an award, like best nightlife photographer in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I just share that because honestly, Wal, and I was so insecure as a person. And I felt like I was really just like looking for my place and sense of identity in the world. Like, what am I doing? I felt very lost. And so this, not that you always want to seek validation from the outside world, but it was very helpful for me to kind of see, hey, there's a path forward. Like my talents are being received. I'm not just like singing badly and thinking that like I'm going to follow my dreams to become like an opera singer, right? Like, no, like I'm doing something and it actually seems to be getting good feedback. So I kept going. And finally I reached a point. I was loving the whole rock and roll world. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be a photographer for Rolling Stone or Spin. And I'm going to go on tour with like the big bands and Almost Famous. I had this like vision in my mind. But that all kind of ended up dissolving because what ended up happening is at that current time, there was this burgeoning rock and roll revival scene happening in New York. And it was amazing. And all of a sudden it just died because, places didn't want to pay for it. And that's different music was becoming more popular. So I end up I'm in nightclubs doing photography. And I'm just like, I'm really not liking my life. I'm feeling really depressed. And I'm not happy doing photography for nightclubs. They weren't interesting. They were just like regular nightclubs where people were just drinking. And I was unhappy. And so I talked to my dad. I'm like, Dad, what do I do? I have this good thing going, but now like, I just don't want to be up at 4 in the morning, And he's like, it's your time to start doing wholesome family events and baptisms and bar mitzvahs.
There's just
and
a little bit
weddings.
of an agenda there, just a small one.
Yeah, he's like, it's time to stop this like cool nightlife thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, fortunately, I was really at my wit's end that I listened to him. I really did. And I was like, you know what? Okay, Dad, I'm going to listen to you. Damn it. Like, I feel like a sellout. I don't want to do these other types of events. I'm too cool for this. Like, this is my ego, right? But I ended up doing it. And I ended up doing all these different family events. And I started building a cute little portfolio. And different jobs are coming in the door. And I had different like places that I use to bring jobs in the door for me with these family events. And I ended up getting asked to do a proposal one day. I told you, long story long, but it all kind of leads here. I get asked to do a proposal. And truly, the first thing I thought of was, what? Like, why would you want, like, what's wrong with people? Like, why would you want your proposal photograph? Like, this is back in, what year was it? I mean, this is a long time ago. I think like 2012, around then. So it was like, I think Instagram had just started, or maybe it was about to start. It was very, very early days. And people were not in those days. I don't know if you guys remember this, but back then, like, people were not posting pictures of their proposals. Like, it wasn't a thing. And so I thought it was kind of wild. I thought like, oh, that's the one private moment you have. And like the wedding is about, photos and all these things. So that was where I was coming from. But I'm like, I'm going to do it. It's a job. Let's go do it. It's interesting. And my first job, it was in New York City, in Central Park, which is like the big sprawling famous park there. And there's a beautiful lake there where you can take out like a little rowboat and go for a little like romantic rowboat ride with your partner. And so this man all he told me was, we're both blonde. I'm going to be in a blue shirt. She's in a green dress. I'm going to row up near this bridge. It's called the Bow Bridge. And I just need you to capture the moment. That's it. And so in these days, like I was not who I am now. I hadn't done 3,000 proposals. I hadn't worked with so many clients. So I had nothing to say. I just was like, okay, I show up and I do it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, let's talk about this. Let's figure this out. It was just, I'm listening to the guy. He's telling me what he wants. I'll be there and I'll shoot it. So I go to this park. I find this little hut where I can like station myself and kind of be hidden. I've got this long lens and I'm there and I'm like waiting like a sniper for him to show up. And all of a sudden, finally, I see them and he's rowing. And just as the moment that he's about to like pull out his ring, he turns the boat and now her back is completely to me. I can't swim now, like jump out. I've got a camera, like there's no way to get this shot because of the way he turned the boat. So I just shoot what I shoot and, we meet on land and I congratulate them. And I told them what happened. I'm like, listen, the boat was turned the wrong way. And they're like, they did not care at all. They were so grateful, that they had pictures of this. And so that was that. But here's what happened that was crazy. One, I said to myself, well, this is not the crazy part, but one, I said to myself, wow, this is actually so sweet to have a picture of this because it's like this, it's a very intimate moment. It's this proclamation of like, I do want to spend my life with you. I bought this ring, this thing of value, and I've created this romantic little moment that's just about the two of us to experience together and make this commitment, which is really special and very, very different energy-wise than a wedding. Wedding is very much like we're on stage, everyone's watching us, and we're being witnessed, which is beautiful. But proposal is different. And I'm like, ooh, there's something to this. Like this is something very, very romantic. Anyway, the following week, here is the crazy thing. I get an email. Hey, my son is proposing on the lake in Central Park in a rowboat. I need your help to photograph it. And I write back to this woman and I'm giving her so much advice. I'm like, let me talk to your son. I'll tell him exactly what to do. He's got to take this route. He's got to go this way. He's got to text me at this time. He's got to turn the rowboat in the right direction at the right time. And we do the proposal. And after the proposal, his mom comes to me and she's like, her hands are on my shoulders. She's like, you don't understand what this meant for our family. Like, this was so incredible. You really helped him. He couldn't have done this without you. You don't understand. Like, this is your calling in life. You're meant to do proposals. You're meant to help people with their proposals. And I just was like, I don't know. Maybe this lady is just kind of emphatic and really excited. But But no, like that is exactly, she had a premonition, and the premonition came true, because that's became my whole life.
Wow.
So that was the start of how I got started. And then from there, really went on to a lot more than that, because as I said, it started with the photography, but then it became a lot of advisory, and really like working with people and understanding who they are, understanding their love story, understanding what's meaningful to them and their partner, and what their partner would want and desire and feel good to them, and helping them calm their nerves. Like really, I became kind of like the person who can kind of take all their stress, all their nerves, and just put them at ease, be like, listen, you're in good hands. We're going to do this. This is how it's going to go. And then, there's way more that we do now. Like we do full service proposal planning. We do private venues. We do decorations. We really do everything. But the foundations of it all really are that advisory, like really holding your hand, like being with you through, like, let's talk this through. And then the second part, which is let's make sure that this is going to be a beautiful experience for you guys. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Anne-Marie, I think you have to agree. This is a really unusual conversation for us, because most of the conversations are with people who have been through some kind of a crash and burn. They come out the other side. They learn some stuff. They want to share it with the world. That's the storyline that we play. Yeah. This isn't a crash and burn. This is a rise and fly of the phoenix. This is like amazing moment going on, and you've turned it into a career.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle being put together. This piece, and then there's this piece, and then this piece, and it just leads to this whole big, beautiful picture.
Well, thank you. And, the only thing I just want to say, which I'm going to share something so personal with you guys. I just feel inspired to share this right now, because yes, it's so beautiful. And I've been so blessed with this. And I think a lot of people have a lot of struggles in their career. And I for sure have had mine too. Like it's not all rainbows and ponies, but also a lot of my work, not that I want to spend the whole time talking about this, came at the expense in a lot of ways of my own personal life. And so I will share that with you. I will share that with you. So it's yeah, I think that there's always sacrifices that are sometimes made, and different ways that we're blessed, in times of our life. And I think I was really lucky, but in my own love life, I struggled so much throughout all these years. And I felt like I'd be getting all these texts from the men that I'm doing other proposals for, but I didn't have someone on the other side who really was my partner and support through any of this. And so one of the beautiful things about growing, and the fact that we're in a position now where there's so many proposals that we've done and experience we have, that we really have the trust of our clients, is now I do have more support, and now I do have more free space that I can have that space for my personal life and love in my life. And so that's like the next chapter for me. So
yeah. I mean, you don't want to be the eternal bridesmaid, right? I mean, they did a movie about that one. It wasn't all. They did
the wedding. I think they've done like The Wedding Planner with Jennifer Lopez. I've always been like the romantic comedy. I'm like perfect for one of these romantic comedies.
They may make one about you. Who knows? I mean, you got a brand new career you've created.
That would be an awesome story. I'd watch that.
Me too.
I'm just thinking, my sister knows a couple of film producers. I'll put a word out. Who knows?
Oh, nice. Okay, I like it. I'm here for it.
That's another puzzle piece for the next stage.
Yes.
Well, it would fit the story, wouldn't it? I mean, everything pieced together without planning. That's the way it works. That's the way your life has been going. You can see it on your face. I mean, every word you speak, you have this massive smile on your face.
Oh, thank you. Well, I like to bring, like I said, it comes from my heart. Like this, I care about everyone sometimes too much. And that's part of what I've had to learn. Like that's been something I've really had to learn, that you have to, I love my clients so much. I care about their stories. But you also have to be able to be like, have systems and procedures and boundaries in business too, because that is when, if you overly self-sacrifice, which I tended to do when I was, for many years, because my clients are my number one. Things can just, you can lose sight of the big picture of your whole life.
Well, you could lose sight of a lot of things. I mean, the main word that I heard in there that really resonated was boundaries, because you do have to set, no matter what it is that you do, you have to set boundaries in your life. If you don't, you're just setting yourself up to be eaten by the sharks. And the sharks are literally everyone else. So yeah, you kind of need those boundaries. It's pretty important.
It's true.
But on the other hand, you're setting boundaries for something that's pretty darn fun.
You know what? Yeah. And it's funny. It's like the proposals that I'll tell you something, the proposals that work really well, that are the most stress-free, that are the most seamless, the client is really following what we kind of tell them that I tell them I know is going to work because I've just seen it so many times. Like, and it's not contrived. And that's something I would love to address, because sometimes people think like, why would you want a proposal planner? Like, some women sometimes, and I understand where they're coming from. They might think like, oh, it's not coming from him now. It's some woman came up with this. And it's like, no. That's not what this is. Him and I, a lot of it, I don't want to generalize. It's not all men. I work with women too. Mostly women proposing to women, and men proposing to women. But that's why I was using the gender of the women saying, but it was because most of our people are proposing to women. But the sessions that we do to talk about what we're going to do, it's coming from a man a lot of times, or a woman who's so romantic in their heart, but maybe that's not how they live their life. Maybe they're not like the person constantly buying roses and doing romantic gestures and putting candles out. So they really want to show their love, but they don't necessarily, one, they need help executing it, because sometimes they need hands on deck to make something happen. And two, sometimes they really do need just help sitting with someone to figure out like, what is my partner going to really want? They know them better than anyone else. And something I encourage my clients really to do is I sort of tell them, I know there's a temptation to want to talk to her friends, or want to talk to her family, or want to talk to her sister. However, you really know her. And you know her on a romantic level better than anyone else. So even though she might have told her sister, I like this Pinterest picture, or, has alluded to something, like, you do know her, and we together can figure this out and come up with something that she's really going to love. Because one mistake I see people make sometimes is they get the peanut gallery involved, whether it's the mom, the sister, friends who say like, oh, I know what she likes. I know her taste. I know all these things. And what ends up happening is actually it's not what you wanted, because it was other people's ideas. Because, you and your partner have a very special connection. And so sometimes people say they want something, but that might not actually be what they really want. So we figure it out together, and everybody's happy. No one says no. Like, that's just not even a thing that happens. Nobody says, everyone says yes. And it's really special and sweet.
It's interesting.
I like, sorry, I was just going to say, I like that also in the respect of when you get proposed to, you're just so excited to share that information. And if everybody else already knows, it kind of dims that light, doesn't it? So they've come to you, they've got that help, and nobody else necessarily needs to know. And they still get that, look at me.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's true. It's really hard. It's so hard when you tell anyone. It's now a snowball. And it's just more people now. And the thing is, we're living in an age now where everybody's doing like the Find My Friends, the sharing of like locations and things. Yeah. And it's just a lot to manage. And it makes my clients who don't involve other people in the process are the least stressed. And the ones who involve so many people in the process have the hardest time.
Sure.
And however, one of the benefits of working with me is I'm really there for them, because I tell them, I tell them what I've seen, and basically how you can now rein it back in, and you can make this between just you and her, even though you might be feeling pressure from different people to do things a certain way. You can still rein it back in and make it about you, because the wedding, the engagement party, the bridal shower, the bachelorette, the bachelor, there's going to be like 5 to 7 events around this wedding where there'll be plenty of time for other people to be involved, but this is really about you. So yeah. So no, the vision is not my vision, it's their vision. And then we really synthesize, strip away what we don't need to have, and only add bells and whistles if they really are the right ones for the right person.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you take the time to work out a plan for him to follow, or her, but in most cases for him to follow. And I say that because when when I got married, when I first became engaged, first of all my life I was a very shy guy anyway. You wouldn't know it from me doing a podcast, but I really was. Secondly, I knew the idea of doing it in front of friends and family, that was like, forget that. That was no way that was going to happen. But even just doing it with her, it was terrifying. It was literally a terrifying thing because I was such an introverted guy. And the only way I was able to really get through it was by setting up a plan and following a plan. Yes. So when you talk about that resonates with me big time. I mean, my plan was very simple. I didn't have anything like a planner or a photographer or anything like that. Mine was so simple. It was literally get some flowers, get a note card, put on the note card 4 words, just write 4 words, and then give her the and she was sitting in an easy chair at the time. She didn't realize it, but I was kneeling down next to the chair in order to give her the flowers. Hand her the flowers. She reads the card. She says 4 words. And she looks at me. She says 4 words. I said, yeah. Will you marry me?
Oh, so cute. I knew what those 4 words were.
so really simple, but having the plan made that possible. If I didn't have that plan, I'm not sure I could have done it, to be honest. I was so terrified.
Well, what I want to say to you, Walt, that was so sweet. First of all, it's adorable. I love the story. Thank you for sharing it. But you mentioned, you said you were introverted at the time, or maybe you still are to some degree, even though I get that too. Because I'm in it.
I mean, you learn how to get past it. You learn how to do podcasts and things like that. But
yeah. How you present to the world has nothing to do with like your actual energy and how you manage it. Yeah. But a lot of my clients, though, I'll tell you, whether or not they are extroverted, whether or not they're introverted, everyone, when it's like the person you love the most, it's vulnerable and it's scary, and the stakes feel high because the main thing. So a lot of my clients, they know no one goes into this thinking, will she say yes? They all already know she's going to say yes. The thing that they're really scared of is not that she's going to say no. They're afraid that she's going to be disappointed in how you did it. They're afraid that she's going to be like, oh, that was a letdown, or that wasn't good enough, or I don't feel good now about how that was done. And there's some sense of disappointment. Like that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of her seeing the whole thing coming, not being surprised, and not getting to have that little payoff. Because I know my male client, it's more my male clients. My female clients do care about this, but my male clients really care about this. And it's getting that reaction. Like they love the reaction. Oh, yeah. I'm happy.
And I will never forget the reaction I got. The reaction I got was, for real?
So cute, It feels good. It feels good to get a reaction, right? So that's what they want. And so even that, because I have guys who come to me and they're like, all right, I just want you to know she already knows it's coming, but I still want her to be surprised. I'm like, don't worry, I got tricks in my proposal toolbox. So she's not gonna see it coming, at least in the moment. That's my goal for you. So
that's fabulous. I love that. And I can imagine that there are probably a lot of guys who are glad to have that bag of tricks available to them, because that's one of the things that, if you're already a little bit concerned about, are you going to, like you said, because you do want to know that she's going to like it, that she's going to enjoy the process. Yeah. You're pretty confident that she's going to say yes. There actually is a little voice that wonders whether or not she's going to say yes. But for the most part, you're pretty confident about that. But the other piece is almost worse because, like you said, you really you don't want her to be disappointed. You want her to be excited. Exactly.
Exactly. You don't want her to be let down by any of it. You don't want her to feel, you also want her to feel, so a lot of, I had to bring my dog up on my lap because he wanted to sit with me. But the other thing, oh gosh, what was I going to say? I was going to say that the other thing is, so the secret about what the proposee wants, the person being proposed to, most of our clients they're women being proposed to. We have men too. We have other genders. But it's just, they want to feel that there was an effort put in. They want to feel that there was a thought behind it. That's really the thing they want the most. Now we have, for sure, there's people out there who are very aesthetic, very into the culture of Instagram, very into, things looking just so. I can relate to that to some degree as a perfectionistic person, artistic person. You just know how everything should look, and it drives my team crazy sometimes. So I'm like, no, it's got to be like this, analyzing every photo. That's how I am. You get some clients like that too, who they really have an aesthetic they're trying to follow. However, it's funny. It's like, even on those things, because there are people like that. They're like, I want my proposal to be all white flowers, and it has to be just like Sometimes in life, things happen, sometimes it rains, sometimes there's some element outside your control. But what's wild is even when I've had a client who's been like so type A, and I relate to them because I'm like, I'm type A too. I feel you, I get where you're coming from. But sometimes there's elements out of our control. And like, sometimes we've had proposals where it has rained, and every time we've had a rainy proposal, it's been like everyone's in agony, being like, oh my gosh, we don't want it to rain. That's like the last thing. We're coming up with all these different backup things, but then all of a sudden it rains. And every time I've seen it, even girls who are, really care about aesthetics, all these things, they're just hysterically crying and they're so happy. And they're like, the rain made it so romantic. It's even more romantic. And I tell my clients, I'm like, if you think about it, every romantic movie has a rain scene, and the rain scene is like the top romantic moment in the whole movie because it's so like, moving, and just rain is like, it's like tears. It's so emotional. And so even something like that, like when you're trying to make everything perfect and something completely out of your control happens, like a lot of times those imperfections are what makes it even more beautiful in a crazy way. So
that makes total sense. It really does. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that I am not the perfectionist I used to be. I'm certainly not perfect about the way I say things. But the good news is that when you're no longer a perfectionist, you can look back on the times when you were a perfectionist and say, oh, God, I can't believe I did that. And when you come through something like a proposal or a wedding plan, it could be a bridal party. It could be, there's all kinds of stuff that you're coming through. But when you're coming through them, what you find is things don't always work right, and yet it all works right. And there's like a reinforcing thing there that it's kind of one of the ways that you can let go of the whole perfectionism thing, because the thing that was supposed to be perfect wasn't perfect, and yet it was still just fine.
It's so true. It's so true. And sometimes those are the things like, it's like those little quirks are what it makes them even happier, right? Like they really like it. And there's people out there who, I know there's some people out there, they're not my clients necessarily, but there's some people out there who feel like, why would you do, so we do proposals that really run the gamut. We have proposals that are so simple and are just like a guy proposing in a park. We have beautiful photography. I've helped advise him on like how to at least get her surprise. And then we have ones that are way more opulent with like custom floral designs and private venues and things like that. We've had private chefs. We've had all kinds of wild extravagant things. And some people out there, like I said, it's not my clients, but there's just people on the internet and things like this who are like, well, if you do an extravagant proposal, that's maybe you're, what does that mean about your love? Maybe like you're feeling you have to overcompensate or this or that. And one thing I feel about that I know to be true, it really doesn't mean anything, because you have people who are the most sincere people who might do something understated. And you also have people who might do something understated and maybe that was low effort for them. Or you might have somebody who does something extravagant and it was nothing for him to do it. And another guy who, it was took a lot for him to do it, but it meant a lot to him. So it means nothing. I don't think there's any correlation between your sincerity and what kind of proposal you do. But at this time, I think some people feel pressure because of Instagram and because of social media and the things we see online, and feeling like, oh, I have to keep up with my friend group, or I have to do something that like is going to outdo the other. Not that they're really thinking that, but it's just in the, what is it, in the zeitgeist, or not even the zeitgeist, like in the
that was the word that came to my mind. Yeah,
in the zeitgeist, right? So you just kind of, you almost can't help but be affected by it, right? Like feeling like, oh, I better do something that they're gonna like, because the stakes have been raised, right? But again, all I say is truly just know your partner, because I had a client years ago, I'll never forget him, Eric. And he was from Colombia, and he was a baller. He really was a baller, this man. And yet we came up with such an opulent proposal concept for him, and he loved it. And we were all, he was all about it. And then he called me and he was like, Ash, he's like, I have to do something. I've been thinking about everything. And he said, and everything I came up with was for me. And he goes, but that's not her. He's like, she's understated, and she's going to want something really, like really simple. And that's what's going to feel best for her. She just she doesn't want all these bells and whistles that I've come up with. And so, it's really beautiful. It's like, not just, you just got to do what's right for your partner. And sometimes your partner is a very opulent woman who really enjoys like all the flowers and more is more. And that really is her. And maybe that's not him, but he does it because he's like, that's her. So it's just figuring that out.
It's also an important discovery to make, because what you're really discovering is why it is you want to be in a relationship. I mean, if you aren't working on that when you're asking, you're probably already in trouble, not because of the ask, but because you aren't really clear on what you want in the relationship. So to come to that kind of conclusion, say, you know what, I want it to be what she wants it to be, that to me tells me you're paying attention to the relationship. That's the highest priority.
Yeah, who they are as a person. Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And like I said, it doesn't even matter. I mean, you'll go out of your way, I'm sure, as a planner. You'll go out of your way to make it all come out as perfect as you can make it come out. But even if it doesn't, so what? I mean, it honestly, right. Like, for instance, this isn't the proposal, this is the wedding, but the most memorable thing about my wedding, there were two memorable pieces. Number one, I'm a swing dancer. My ex also did some dancing. So we had friends there who were swing dancers. We had like the best floor show just by having good people in the audience. The other thing that was memorable is that the whole thing started a half hour late because my brother, who is my best man, took all the men out of the audience and left. And the reason he left was because he got a call from my soon-to-be wife, fiance, that the limo that she was in didn't have a reverse gear and they were stuck and they needed to be pushed out of the parking lot.
Oh my God.
I mean, there was nothing that could have been done about that. That was just like one of those things that happened, but it's also one of the most memorable things that came out of the whole. We talked about that for years. That was just like, that was part of the storyline.
It really is true. And yeah, absolutely. And yes, exactly. And to your point, it's like, there's so many things that, people worry about, right? And it's just that you didn't even have to worry about, that I worry about. I mean, I worry about things being as perfect as they can be because I want to do the best I can do for my client. But yeah, there's things that are out of your control, especially the weather. That's one of the ones.
Yeah. And that was a perfect example that you gave, that we can't have a rain, and then the rain turns out to be the best thing that could have happened.
Right.
Perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect. That's a good phrase. I like that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So, all right. Now I have to also zero in on how this has affected you, because you mentioned, you went through a bit of a phase there where you're the bridesmaid, you're helping everybody else get their proposals. Where's my proposal? When is that going to come through? Totally. And that's a serious thing. That actually is an important thing, because it can affect not only how you feel, but also it can affect how you do your job. I'm curious, how have you dealt with that?
Well, I'll tell you. So it's interesting. Like, I always felt like, in a way, it was good that I was single. I mean, I wasn't single for the entirety of my career, but there were times where I was, and I feel like it really allowed me to be just very objective in a lot of ways, because I wasn't trying to impose my own story on them in any which way. Whereas I think, like, so one advantage for me is there are some women who are like, their dream is to work in the wedding industry. They know they want to. I had no idea I would be in this industry. Like I said, I was coming from like a rock and roll community, very alternative, very artistic. And so I was always coming from this as a person who, one, I love people. I like to connect with people. And then two, I'm an artist. And so I'm an artistic person. I see how things can be more beautiful, and yes, I'm coming at it from those two places. But yeah, there was a story. I shared a story, I believe, on my podcast or on my Instagram, or both. I think I did, about dealing with a broken engagement. And I didn't have a broken engagement, but I had a big breakup with someone who we thought we were going to share our lives together. And I had a proposal that weekend, right? Like, so you have to, I remember I was in this apple orchard. I did this proposal in an apple orchard of all places, which was kind of cool. It was like a really cute fall proposal. And we had just broken up. And I remember like a ladybug was on my finger, and it was I got like a little sign from, from whatever you want to call it, that things are going to be okay. But it was very emotional, and you have to just like zip up your emotional suit and go into go mode. And so, yeah, like you can't let your personal life affect you when you're there to be, I'm not a surgeon, right? But like, I'm like a proposal, like I'm a proposal surgeon. Like you have to be there for your client. You got to do your job. So yeah, no, it hasn't, it never affected my career. It was more that I think just, I was aware, this is what it was. The part that it wasn't that my relationships affected my work in any which way. It was more that my work affected my relationships, because I just had a lot going on with other people and things, and building a business is like, it really is like, it's a big thing to do. It's not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of attention. It takes a lot of energy. It can be draining at times when you're working out the nuts and bolts, not the client stuff, but like you're working out processes, you're figuring things out, a lot of things behind the scenes. You're training people, you're making sure those people are going to do the job that you want them to do at the standard you want them to do. And all of this takes a lot of time. And the other piece of all of this was, before I had a team, which thank God I have one now, all of my weekends were taken up by my proposals. A lot of my evenings were taking up my proposals. So it cut into that quality time that you would spend. So thankfully I have a team now, and that really has helped me, so that I can be in my zone of genius, like, and really be helping my clients, like with our planning sessions and overseeing the proposals. But on site, I have my team to like execute the vision, and and that's helpful.
Which is good. But you were right. I was thinking primarily about how it affects you and how it affected, I mean, you mentioned in terms of your relationship, but like you said, you kind of zipped it all up. And we know what the risk is when you zip something up. I mean, emotions are meant to be felt. They're meant to be experienced and let out and released and so forth. And there are times you can't do that. So that's the part I was curious about. How did you find yourself dealing with all that?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy you're saying that, Walt, because that's something that I've had to, that's something that I've had to, absolutely has been a narrative in my life. Like, yes, you zip things up because you want to be there for other people and be strong for whether it's your client, whether it's for people in your family. And an emotional release is so important. So yes, the last, I would say I spent about the past 3-4 years really working that out, like doing my own healing journey around that, and learning practices like, ecstatic dance for one of them, like for instance, like just other practices to have emotional release, because yes, when you have to zip things up emotionally, a lot of times, it does, some people believe it gets stuck in your body, the emotions get stuck in your body, whatever you want to believe. Sure. But there is something to like letting it out, letting your body express itself in a way that might look crazy to other people, like just shaking out your arm, whatever. But this stuff really is powerful. And those tools have really helped me now in this next phase of my business, so that I can be more whole and have more balance in my life, so I can be the best I can be for my team, for my clients, of course, and for people for myself and for people in my life too.
And you're still single now, so you're basically still living that same lifestyle, right?
Well, I have someone now, but
oh, you have someone, okay. but you're not married. You're in a relationship but not married.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, oh my gosh, she's going to plan your proposal.
That's the question that was coming up next. Yeah.
I know. It's like, it's so funny. It's like, right. And that's again where you have to just surrender to trusting them, because you don't want to be like, all right, I'm planning my own proposal. Definitely not going to do that.
I mean, he does have one advantage, and that is he knows your team. He's met your team, so if he does want their help, he knows who to go to. That is true. Most people have available.
It's true. He has. That is absolutely true, and he's got all my podcasts to listen to with all my tips and tricks.
Now, most likely he'll just follow his own path anyway, but at least the tool's there if you want it. That's
if he wants to listen, if he happens to listen to this podcast and and happen to hear that I would love a Paris proposal at the Rodin Museum.
You heard it here first.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, a setup. My goodness.
Oh my goodness.
But seriously, I mean, you're in a place now where you're kind of experiencing the other side. I mean, if this does, I mean, no one knows what's going to happen with a relationship until it actually gets there. But if this does lead to the point where you end up in a marriage situation, you're kind of in the lead up to what you do for a living. That's got kind of weird. It's like an advanced deja vu kind of a situation.
It really. It's wild. I mean, that's something for sure. That's something that it's true. I always put it aside. I really put it aside because I was like, I didn't even have a vision for what I would want. I really hadn't. It was so vague to me because I wasn't in that place with someone to even think about that. But now, yeah, like now that is something it is something that I think about. So, yeah.
Well, how could you not? I mean, it's what you do for a living. Of course it's going to come to mind. If it didn't come to mind, it probably would be unnatural. So, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And my tastes are they are probably on the more understated side. But again, like, it's just like every girl out there, and not just girls, but person who's being proposed to, you just want to know that your partner really gave it some thought, put effort, put some, wanted to put resources into it, wanted to put something into it. It's to make it meaningful. That's it. But it doesn't have to be, and I don't need a parade or anything over the top.
So in other words, he doesn't have to bring you to Yankee Stadium and have it put up on the stadium sign.
Oh God, no, he'd be marrying the wrong girl.
Okay.
For sure. That's not me.
I always worried about guys who did that. I mean, really?
Right. That's one of the ones where, again, know your, that's not necessarily a bad proposal. That might be an amazing proposal for the right person who's really a sports fan. It's just knowing them. Cause we have people sometimes you're like, wow, why would somebody want to get engaged in the middle of Times Square? We've done tons of Times Square proposals for people who that was their ultimate dream. It really was. And that was their dream come true. So yeah, it's just, there's that phrase, don't yuck someone's yum, right? There's a phrase like that. It's true. It's with all of these things, I've had people say ew, red rose petals, and then other people oh my gosh, red rose petals. Everyone's different.
That's true, right? Because everybody has different senses of aesthetic, their own preferences, their own beliefs, their own systems of understanding life. So of course there's going to be a whole wide range of ideas regarding something like this. How do you go about doing it? Well, you do it the way you really wanted to do it. Yeah, that's ultimately what you're doing, right? You're guiding people to what it is they're trying to do in the first place.
Yes, absolutely. I'm helping guide them towards what they feel in their heart of hearts. It's a combination. It's one, you don't want someone to do a big budget proposal when that's not going to feel good to them. Right. So it's they need to do something that feels healthy to their own budget and finances. They need to do something that feels good, that feels true for them as a couple. And I mean, truly, this is about their partner. They're proposing to their partner. So you want to do something that your partner's going to love. It's really about them more than it is about you. There's a little self-sacrifice in it. You don't want, like I said, you don't want to be unhealthy to your own finances, but you want to be, it is about maybe stretching yourself a little bit to do something special for someone you love and showing that.
Makes sense. Yeah. And now you've alluded to, obviously, most of your clientele are going to be male to female asks. You've indicated there's also some female to female.
Lots female to female. Yeah.
Have there been any female to male? I mean, I figured just round it out. There was one.
One.
Wow.
We've only had one in all the years. We've had other.
I'm surprised there's one, to be honest.
There was one. She was amazing. She's an amazing woman. I think that there's some, and okay, I don't want to speak for her because I can't speak for her, but there is a category of women that we've had that are they're very rare. They are the women, they're very rare, but there is a category of women who don't really want their partner to plan their proposal. They know they want to get married, but they're a lot of times they're women who all of them don't like surprises. Basically, they say, I hate surprises. I don't want to be surprised. And it feels good for them to have more of a sense of control. And so they're rare, but we've had a few of them over the years. And they're the type of women who want to they hire us. They want to plan everything. They want it exactly how they want it. And I think I would put that woman in that category where it wasn't just that it was more that she knew what she wanted and she wanted to create that. So those are rare. It's mostly people who want their partner to be surprised. It's mostly people who like surprises. I
was actually surprised that there was an example. I mean, I thought I was asking a question that the answer would be no, and then you came up with one. I said, really?
There's one.
Wow. Not what I
said. There was one. There was one. And then we've had, I can just think of 2 other women. Like I said, they're very rare. 2 other women that they did not propose. However, they wanted to be completely involved in the process because and I had to ask multiple times. I told him multiple times, are you sure that you don't, I said, we can even go along with this, but if you still want to throw a surprise in, we can. And he said, no, he's like, she's very firm that she wants to know every single thing and doesn't want anything to be a surprise. So it's like, I respect that, but it's very rare. It's just a certain person, just like there's all different kinds of people.
It's interesting to me also, you started this journey in 2009. The shift came in 2012 when I started this podcast.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've done over 2,000 episodes. You've done 3,000 proposals. I feel like I'm behind, but that's another story.
But I'm impressed that you've had this podcast for a long time. Yeah. You're OG in the space. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was an early adopter.
Wow, that's amazing.
But that's also because of what I mean. You came out of school and you were trying to get your career started in 2009. I was trying to put my life back together again because my business had completely collapsed because of the crisis.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what led to the creation of the program. Because 4 years after that, like I was drowning in debt and everything was going the wrong direction. Everything was going sideways. It was horrible. So I needed something to figure out how to climb out. And that's what created the podcast. But here we are 13 years later, and it's been a wonderful journey along the way. Not anything at all what I would have predicted at that time. It's been fabulous, but I never would have been able to predict it. And I kind of think the same thing is true with virtually every marriage that ever happens. I mean, I'm not talking about a marriage, I'm talking about a podcast, but the same thing is true. Every proposal, every wedding, every ever after, they all play out differently. There's commonalities, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of commonalities that play out. There are a lot of traumas people go through. There's all kinds of stuff. But everyone is a little bit different. And the takeaway that I get, I'm going to get Anne Marie's takeaway in a moment, but the takeaway I get from it is that's really a big deal for you. You want it to be about what's right for them. There's no cookie cutter going on here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I sometimes have clients come. I've had clients ask this before because one of our most popular packages, if you want to call it that, is our rooftop proposals that we do. And those are proposals that are in New York City on a private rooftop where you have a private space to propose, because in New York, it's so crowded that the luxury of space is really special. Oh, yeah. And so I've had some clients say to me, because they see on my website so many pictures, maybe at many different venues, but where it might seem as if it's not cookie cutter, but other people have done the same thing. They said oh, is it, have too many people done this? I was like, okay, out of the whole world, this is a very small group of people who've done the proposal this way. Very small group of people. But it might seem that way just because you're seeing this. But also, even when a proposal might be at the same venue, even if it might even have similar decor, no proposal is the same. They're all different, and they're all different. There's so many different little elements that come into a person's proposal. Also, what is the proposal, really? It's what you did what you explained. You planned to have your little note, you got on your knee, right. You said the words you wanted to say. That's the proposal. What we do is we're setting the scene for you to then do your proposal without all the stress of worrying about all these other things.
Right.
So every proposal, like I don't get to hear the speeches most of the time because we're, even on the ones that I'm there for, even I can't hear the speech because they're at a distance. I'm not on top of them, right? Like listening. So everyone is unique in how in the words that they say, and the words are a big part of it, or even as simple as they are, like as the way that you did it, Walt, with just the 4 words, right? Everyone has their different take and flair on what they put into a proposal, but it's true. No proposal is cookie cutter, and every couple is so different, and we'll have proposals where every couple is different. We have couples who come, we've had couples like wearing ball gowns and suits, and we have couples who come in their sneakers. We have all different kinds of people, and they might even be doing the same kind of look of proposal, but it's like who they are makes the proposal what it is.
Yeah, that's excellent. As usual, we've used up an hour having a great time talking about a fun topic, but we have a few things we always like to wrap up with. First and foremost, somebody who wants to reach out and perhaps talk to you about your service, we should probably tell them how to do that. How do we do that?
Happy to share, Walt. So my website is ashfoxproposals.com. We also have ashfoxphotography.com. It's the same site, just redirects you. And on Instagram is a great place to talk with us because you can talk right in the DMs. We're in there. And it's Ash Fox Proposals on Instagram, Ash Fox Proposals on TikTok. I think that's it. And yeah, I'd love to, if there's people out there who are thinking about proposing, you don't have to be in New York. You really could be anywhere in the world. And if you need someone to talk to put you at ease, to help you with any part of the proposal, coming up with an idea, strategy, decoys, how to surprise your partner, dealing with family dynamics, dealing with just coming up with like the plan and the steps and all of that. I'm here to help. So feel free to reach out. Love to do a session with you. And if you are in the New York area or planning to come to the New York area to propose, we have full service proposal planning there from top to bottom. So everything from photography, videography, private venues, really everything, decorations. So happy to help.
What a place for a venue, New York City. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. That's really something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Anne-Marie, I normally ask you to give a summary, and I'm always wondering what it is that you're thinking about as you're doing it. I don't think I have to worry about that this time. I have a pretty good idea of what you're thinking about, but how are you summarizing it today?
Oh, well, you just took me to a lovely, happy place today. It's been so lovely, and I've loved watching. You're obviously passionate, and you obviously love what you do, and I think that kind of came out to be. So I think what I picked up on was how, situations we're in and we might not be happy, but they could be part of that bigger picture. And, you just took those opportunities as they popped up. And I love that you trusted and you took them and you got to your passion. I just thought that was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna-Marie. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Was that what you thought, Walt?
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, we're on the same wavelength on that kind of thing, Ash. That's how I knew she was going to go there. because following your passion is really important. It's very, very important. Something else that's important, this is how I like to wrap up shows. Something else that's important. We now live in the 21st century where, people reach out through Instagram. We have the internet. We're able to do shows like this where you're in New York, I'm in Connecticut, she's in the UK, and it's like we're in the same living room. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
That 40 years ago was impossible. Now it's just normal. And because of that, how we reach out to others, how we tell our stories and so forth has also changed. You not only have done our podcast here, you were talking about how you do your own podcast, which we really didn't ask about. We probably should, but we didn't get to that far. You probably do other podcasts as well. You do your Instagrams, you're doing all this stuff to put stuff out. You're helping people, you're giving people ideas they haven't thought about before. You don't know how they're going to use them. They often put them to work in ways that you'll never find out about. And that kind of ties into an overall theme that I noticed a few years ago that, there's a whole bunch of people who are doing the same kind of thing in their own fields, their own interest areas and so forth. They're helping other people without even knowing how they're helping them, and they're not getting any credit for it. Well, shoot, we can do something about that. So Ash, on behalf of those people you've never met, never seen, never will meet, never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't even know about just by sharing your message, on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that, Walt.
We appreciate you sharing your time here too. And we appreciate our listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.